I think important when one would like to know me a bit better that, as you just mentioned, I didn't start initially in the business field. So my initial studies were more around literature, comparative literature, and linguistics, an aspect of the mathematical linguistics. And as I leaned into the, let's say, professional life, working life after graduation, I was coming closer to business processes and how companies work and how teams work and how people functions. All of these somehow built up brick by brick. I can connect with all of this academical knowledge, everything which is in business, and I truly enjoyed. So obviously this was a real motivation to see more and discover more. And then, as you just mentioned, that I started my MBA studies, postgraduate studies parallel with work first. I had an amazing mentor in my first workplace, a female mentor, my former lead manager, but I really looked at her as a leader and a role model for myself. So I really appreciated her guidance, and I really appreciated her active support in these studies, because both financially and also time-wise, she fully supported this further development, even if for her, unfortunately, I got a stipendium at the university from the Berlin campus of ESCP. So instead of bringing back all the new learnings to the company and utilize there, I decided in agreement with her that I moved to Berlin and discovering a little bit the world and how these economical studies and how students are differently approached and the learning curve differently approached. And back in the times in Budapest, I take the benefit and take the chance. So I moved out, and then from there, practically everything just came naturally, because I started to work at Axel Springer here in Berlin as a practicant in the marketing department. Also still lots to do with the former publishing house radio type of experience I started with back in the times in Budapest I just shared. And then I moved out to London, started there in the position of product development manager, but it was mainly about building up a new product and find the right audience also in various locations, including Hungary, where I'm coming from originally. And then my first real leadership role was when the company promoted me to lead the first shared service center in Bratislava in Slovakia. So moved back again to the Central Eastern European region. And then this was followed by other destinations where the company relocated me, that time mainly in business development and operational roles. So learned a lot throughout this journey, then later on also in the Avis Budget Group, in the Budapest Shared Service Center, how to build strong end-to-end businesses, reliable, with good processes, with how to approach talent management was also very important learning, with lots of failures and learnings also from my end. Obviously, each of these companies I worked for and still are very international, so culturally also an interesting mix of a very exciting times. I mean, I was always full with energy and motivation to do something new. So I was not job hopper in a way that changing the companies, but I was more changing in a kind of discovery mode the roles and what else can I add to my portfolio. And the guiding motivation for me always was, and by the way still is, what is enriching this portfolio that I can look with better, broader lenses to certain topics, situation, business problems to solve, people problems to solve, innovation as such, so how to innovate on behalf of the customers. And then was a bigger move, what I define as a bigger milestone when from the Budapest Shared Service Center of Avis Budget Group, which was truly exciting times with absolutely amazing people, lots of complex transition and transformation, but I was part of also with great leaders supporting me and great colleagues to work with and great teams. But I think was the kind of perspective change when I moved back to Berlin working for Amazon, because was moving to the other side of the table. I mean, customer service quality management is a little bit third-party role within the company to evaluate how we fulfill the customer needs, how we satisfy the customers, how to improve that experience end-to-end, very data-driven, very customer-obsessed. And needless to say, everyone knows Amazon, such an amazing company culture and such an amazing infrastructure they have, both in terms of technology, but also in terms of people. So really top talents. Wherever you go, you just learn on every meetings because so fantastic people are everywhere. So I think this was the journey up until I moved to Marley Spoon, which was in 2016 in my current company. I started to work as global head of customer communications initially, and Fabian Ziegler, the former CEO of the company, also founder, reached me out to support them in this journey. And I think I can really say that with my team, we built throughout the years and at high speed everything from absolutely scratch, what we have in this company, both frontline, but on the insights management, outbound functions. And I would say also the framework which is existing in the company to run a business here customer-led. And I assume we will talk about it a little bit more in practice, but I think for me is really engaging, reassuring when it's about the company itself to see that there is a place in an executive leadership group for a chief customer officer paired up with all people insights, representing that core need in a company to have a seat of the customer in every single decision what we take, and also to ensure that we have a team which is aligned and motivated to deliver on that promise.